Okay, so I'm really hoping this is third time lucky. I'm trying again. You'll be fed up with this in a minute. Okay, so let's try one more time. Okay, so I'm also going to type a comment in just in case the sound is gone. How are things now? So I'm going to talk in the hope that you can hear me, and yeah. I've just got to wait for somebody to say that you can hear and see it's all good. Thank you, Kay. I don't know what happened before. It cut out again. I didn't do anything, and I also don't know why the sound wasn't there. Maybe it just never reconnected properly. So I'm so sorry. I'm just going to get going, I think, and we'll try and get through this before everything everything goes pear-shaped. Okay, so I'm going to ink my white layer just as you saw me do just now, but with some slightly different colours. This one is soft succulent. So I've just tailored the colours to the card I'm using, which are slightly different greens and blues. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for coming back or hanging in there with me. There is nothing more annoying than when you're watching a live broadcast and it cuts out and you think, well, what do I do? Do I stay? Do I go? Are they going to come back? Are they going to give up and go and have a cup of tea? But it looks like you've all found me again. Thank goodness. Okay, so now I'm going to use some balmy blue. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you for sticking with me. And again, I'm working in a straight line because I'm basically doing half of it green and half of it blue or thereabouts. So I'm just working in a straight line to help me get a sort of a horizon going. I'm going to be stamping over the top of this again, so I don't need anything particularly defined. So it's quite subtle, quite light. So I'm going to stamp this large tree image in Evening Evergreen ink, and I'm taking my ink pad to the stamp this time because it's quite a big stamp and it's a little bit easier to get good coverage that way. And I'm going to stamp it over towards the right here. There we are. And then I'm also going to just add a little bit of texture to the ground here by stamping it upside down, and I'm just going to get just that bottom part, well, it's the top when it's this way around, but the bottom if it was the right way around, just across the edge of my card, just for a little bit of kind of texture along the ground. I quite often do this with stamps of trees or grasses or something like that, because you can get just a little bit of interest. It just kind of grounds everything. So it's just that big stamp, and I've just stamped that very bottom part along the card. And then I'm going to put together my caravan. So these dies will work really well with other stamps that you may have. Looks like Mary's back. Thank you, Mary. I'm sorry, I don't know what went wrong, but I'm very happy that you are back with me. I do like to add these little trim parts. I think they do add a lot of interest to the Caravan. And now I'm going to, I've got this one cut in smoky slate, so I'm going to just snip off the tow hitch and glue that on here. So I didn't do it on the last card, but I mentioned that you could. So you can customize these in so many different ways. There we are. So that now looks a little bit like it's more metallic. And then I'm also going to snip off the wheel, and I'm actually going to, because I like a bit of fussy cutting, I'm going to cut the tire off and leave the wheel hub. You missed the beginning of this card, you'll look at the video later. Great, Mary, thank you. And I'm so sorry that it all got interrupted, but if you go back to the beginning of this segment, you'll see how I got the inky background on the card. There we are. So I've just got like a little kind of semicircle, which is just the tire. All I've done is cut out the wheel hub. Actually, it'll be easy to put my glue on here. I think I've got more to hold on to. I could equally colour this in marker if I wanted to. Which might be something you'd prefer if you don't like fussy cutting. There we are. So let me just lift that up to show you. That's my little Caravan now with a bit more detail on there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is pop some vellum in behind the window, just like I did before. So I'll trim this down a little bit. Didn't actually stick that roof trim on quite straight. Let me just trim off a little bit of that excess there to keep the curve properly right. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to start layering things up now. So this is my stamped and inked layer. And I'll attach that to my card base. Did I say my card base is Balmy Blue? And the measurements for this are exactly the same as the first card. So if that bit got cut off, I'm repeating it and hopefully that will work for you. And then I'm just going to add my Caravan, and I just need to make sure that I leave, yeah, that's going to work there, leave some space for my sign. Now this I think would definitely be a great retirement card, or indeed a bon voyage if someone was doing a big trip somewhere. The Happy Trails messages is quite apt for that. There we are. On the inside I'm going to stamp those trees again. And again, I'm not going to pop a sentiment in. There we are. Okay, second card. Right, and I think that despite the restarting, I've got time to do just one more. And I promised that this would be a Christmas free zone for quite some time to come, but actually I couldn't resist doing a Christmas card with these dies, so I hope you'll forgive me. I won't be doing any more Christmas now until at least September. So I've got lots and lots of bits and pieces here, including some very small stars. I have an evening evergreen card base, a layer of gold foil, and some lovely patterned paper which has got conifers on it, and that paper is from the Boughs of Holly set. And actually I did write out what I had used in case you wanted to look things up, so let me put that to one side. So this is the Boughs of Holly paper. It's in the July to December catalogue on page 25. So before I do anything else, I'm going to layer these pieces together, and that will be a fewer loose pieces on my table. And again, I've cut my paper just a millimetre, sorry, not a millimetre, what am I talking about? An eighth of an inch. An eighth of an inch smaller all round than the gold foil. Hi Pam. Pam says she's very late to the party, she's driving home from Devon, or Chris is. I'm glad, yes, I'm glad you're not joining a Facebook Live whilst driving, Pam. Saw lots of dolphins and porpoises this morning standing on Berry Head. My goodness, that is fantastic. How exciting. I went to Berry Head once on a geography field trip when I was in the 6th form, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I'm glad you can join us, Pam. And well, this is part 3 because the internet has really been playing up. So Mary is asking what size my card is. That's a very good question, Mary. I'll write those down for you. So this is the card base is 8 inches by 5 3/4 of an inch, scored at 4. The foil layer is 3 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/2 inches, and the paper is 3 5/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. There we go. Thank you for asking that question. Oh, and yeah, I was thinking I found one here, but no, I haven't. That's from my previous card. So that's the measurements. They're actually the same as the previous one for the 2 layers. They're just in the vertical format rather than horizontal, but obviously the card base is slightly different. Okay, I hope I've left that there long enough for you. I can always put that back if you need me to. Let me know if you need that back in good view. So I'm going to put aside those pieces and layer these 3 together first. So I have 2 circles cut with the layering circles dies, and then I have a stitched circle cut with the stylish shapes dies. So I'm going to layer these 3 pieces together and put them on my card as well, and then I'm going to build my tree scene from that. Is it? Yes, it is. It's the usual measurement for my base card. Yes, it is, Mary. If I'm doing a card which is portrait like this, that's the measurements that I always use. The only one that is a little bit unusual on this card is the measurement for the paper. So normally my layers are just like this, and then my paper one would be 3.5 inches by 5.25 inches. But because I wanted just a very narrow border of gold on this, I made the paper layer 1/8 of an inch bigger than usual. But usually I come down in 1/4 inches for each layer. Each layer is 1/4 inch shorter and narrower than the previous one. Okay, so that's where we are so far. So that's kind of all my base parts built. And now I'm going to bring these in. So first of all, I'm going to construct 3 little trees. So I've cut these from Evening Evergreen card, Soft Succulent card and Mossy Meadow card. And I picked those 3 greens because they're the 3 greens which are in the paper. And when you buy a Stampin' Up paper pack, the colours they've used are always listed on the piece of card that goes into the pack. So you can always pick out your coordinating colours. And then I've cut the detail tree in the snowy white velvet paper. So this is in the July to December mini catalogue. And before I cut them, I stuck some of the adhesive sheets on the back. So I've turned these into stickers, and I've put down where you can find the adhesive sheet in the annual catalogue there, page 127. It's a little bit hidden away. So now I just need to match these to the trees and then stick them on. You can of course just glue these on, but it's a lot less fiddly if all you do is peel off the backing and then stick that velvet paper down. And you can't feel the velvet paper like I can, but it does feel really beautiful there. So you can see how quick and easy it was to stick down that really detailed die cut. And it cut through the velvet paper with the layer of adhesive and the backing on the adhesive really easily. I only pushed it through my machine once. I had no hassle at all with it. So these kind of lacy dies aren't an exact fit, which means you've got a little bit of leeway when it comes to sticking them on, which is quite nice. Oh, I'm losing a star. Let me just pop that in here. They're so tiny. I cut some extra ones, but that one is going to blow away, I think. Well, I hope you had a lovely time in Devon, Pam. I know you were at a wedding and you certainly had the weather. Well, at least if your weather's been anything like it's been up here, it will have been glorious for you. Okay, so now I'm just going to arrange these on here. I think that's going to work. And glue them down. So there's a little bit of die cutting for this, but actually it's not a difficult card at all. There's no tricky stamping, nothing like that. Put that one a little bit far over actually, haven't I? There we go. That's the joy of this glue, the multi-purpose glue. It stays wet just long enough for you to slide things if you haven't got them in quite the right place. There we are. I need a little bit extra over there. It's going on the velvet paper, which kind of absorbs the glue. And now I've put too much on there. Let me find a little bit of paper in my bin. There we go. I've got a little bit of glue ooze happening here. There we are. Let's just take that off. There we go. It dries clear, so we'll be all good. If you're overlapping the velvet paper is a little bit absorbent, so it takes just a little bit longer for that glue to grab. Okay, so back to the stars, which are teeny tiny. I don't know if you can see, they have a little bit of embossing on them as well. And the die that cuts the stars cuts 3 at a time, which is very handy. So I'm just going to pop these down. And it does feel weird making something for Christmas in July. I never normally do this, but as I say, these dies were just so lovely, and because they're only available this month and next month, it's no good me waiting till September to show you, because you won't be able to get them then. I've just hopefully hooked up my cable again. It's so warm in here that the sticky on the washi is coming unstuck. I just want it to hold just for a few more minutes. There we are. Okay, so that's my 3 die cuts, and then I'm just going to make a sentiment piece. So I've pulled out the stamp from Leaves of Holly, so it's this Christmas Wishes stamp, and this fits really nicely onto one of the banners from the Stylish Shapes die set. And let's pop that there. So those are the dies that I've used. So I'm going to ink it in Evening Evergreen, and it's a photopolymer stamp, so I should be able to get it in the middle of this banner, and I think it will just fit on. There we are. And then I've also cut one in gold foil. Now it's exactly the same size, but I can give the illusion that it's actually bigger if I cut it in half like that, and then I glue it underneath this one and extend it slightly at the ends like that. And this trick works with all your shapes, whether they're punched or die cut. You can just slice them in the middle and pop them behind, and you instantly get one that looks as if it's just a little bit bigger. I'm just waiting for the glue to grab on the foil. It takes a little bit longer on foil than it does on ordinary card because it's not as absorbent. Here we are. And then I want some dimensionals behind that. And I'll pop that on the front. There we are. So I've forgotten an insert for this one, but never mind. On the insert I shall probably create another Christmas tree and stick that down, and I can use the Christmas Wishes again, or I could use any of the others in the set, or any others that you've got at home would work for this. I'm sure you've got Christmas sentiments. So there we are. That is my Christmas one. And I promise there'll be no more Christmas till September. And then finally I have one more card to show you, which you may have seen if you watched my live broadcast when Sale-a-Bration launched. I think it was then. I did actually make this one as well, where I've done a little bit more stamping. This is from the Grove dies, this background piece, and the stamps in the background are from the can't remember the name of it. It's the one I used at the beginning, Grassy Grove. The deer is a die cut from Grassy Grove as well. The trees are the ones you've just seen me use. And then I've got a caravan here, and I did cut the bunting as well, and I've just coloured the flags in with markers. I'm glad you like the Christmas card, Mary. Thank you. You obviously have forgiven me for showing you something Christmassy at this time of the year. I'm just going to turn my grid paper over and lay all the cards out, but it's so inky I think it's a bit distracting. There we are. Let's lay it out there and show you today's cards. So this set is great for Christmas cards, but it doesn't have to be at all. And you can use it with all kinds of other things that you may have in your stash. You might have papers or other stamps that will work with it. I think it's just really fun. I love the little caravan, even though I'm not a camper at all. And I like piecing together the different coloured sections as well. I think that's a lot of fun. All right, I'm just going to turn everything up and say bye-bye to you. We've overrun a little bit, but have we? Let's lift that up. There we are. You can see my new door if you were here at the beginning. Behind me is, there we go, the new door, which I'm very happy with. It's much more soundproof than the old one, which is a good thing as well. So thank you very, very much